What's going on, guys? No One Wine here with another video. Today we'll be working on the Lexus. I haven't been able to set up a dyno time for the Skyline. I know I kind of just left things off with that car. I'm still trying to get that thing on the dyno. Trust me, I want to see how much power it can make, at least with the fuel pump that's in it. Again, I don't know what fuel pump's in it, but I want to try and see if I can at least make 500 horsepower with it, but I don't know, we'll see. Hopefully I'll be able to get that car back into the shop here soon. But today I'm going to do an upgrade on the IS300. Hopefully this is the last fuel upgrade I'm going to have to make. Again, this engine is stock. The goal for me right now is to install this fuel system, put it on E85, shoot for 15 pounds of boost, and see if it doesn't blow up. I don't know. We're just going to see. We're going to find out together. Obviously, I'm kind of exploring the upper limits of a stock GE engine, but as of now, it's made 370 wheel. Do some quick calculations. That's over 400 at the crank, 410, 415, depending on which math or percentage loss you want to account for through the drivetrain, which I think is pretty good. So currently, though, I am maxed out on these injectors, and I maxed out this fuel pump. So I have a new fuel pump. I have bigger injectors. I'm probably gonna have to modify a few things with the stock fuel pump hanger, but I'll try and show you guys all that. Let me just show you what I got and we'll get right into it. Here's some of the goodies that we're gonna be installing in the car today, aside from the fuel pump. The fuel pump I've already started to kind of mock up in the hanger, and I'll show you guys that in a moment. But right here in front of us, we have a lot of stuff from Deechworks. Shout out to Deechworks for hooking me up with this stuff. We have their hardwire, heavy duty hardwire kit, and this is going to allow me to hardwire the fuel pump straight to the battery rather than try to rely on the factory wiring, which just is not going to be enough. This comes with a 40 amp relay right here and a 30 amp fuse. All this stuff is, you know, it's got heat shrink on it, ring terminals, it's 10 gauge wire. It's really nice. I think this is about $80 or something like that. You should definitely pick this up if you're going to be running a, you know, pretty heavy duty pump in your cars. Again, there's a part number right there if you wanted to run that. And then here we go, the meat and potatoes, I guess you want to call it. These are 1200 cc injectors. There's the part number right here in case you guys want to run these. I'm not looking for 1,000 horsepower. I'm probably never going to be looking for that much power. And so, as I said in the beginning of the video, I hope that this would be the last time I'm messing around with the fuel system on this car. I'm happy to have 500 to 600 horsepower. So these injectors should be plenty on E85 or pump gas. And they also come with pigtail adapters, so that way I don't have to hack into my harness. So I love that. But yeah, this is what I'm going to be putting into the car. So yeah, that's it. I'm gonna go ahead and now try and get this fuel pump out. I haven't pulled this fuel pump out of here. Well, actually, when I did the whole manual swap and pulled the engine stuff out, I did have this fuel stuff out. So at that point, everything looked fine. I haven't really pulled it out since then, and I have now had the car in E85. So I'm hoping that everything is still together. You know, E85 is pretty harsh on things, but let me just get to pulling this fuel pump out. Hopefully everything looks good, and I'll show you guys how to mod the hanger for the HELLCAT fuel pump. Man, this fuel pump hanger has stood the test of time, guys. I think I remember putting this in the car, the auto car, like, I don't know, 2 years ago. And it looks like I did use some E85 rated fuel line. I bought some of this just in case I needed it, but this hose has been holding up just fine for 2 years. Maybe the last, I don't know, 5 or 6 months with the E85 in the tank, and it's doing just fine. But I did buy some new hose, so I might replace it anyway. But I did this epoxy stuff on the top, is all coming off again. I'll have to redo this. We will be reusing this return line. You will have to drill another hole for a new feed line because we can't use this factory feed line or this feed situation anymore. But this hanger does have a Deechworks DW300 pump in it, and it's been good. This pump will be fine. It'll support 500 horsepower, no problem, on pump 91 gas or 93, but with the 85, it's just too much. Before we get started, what you need to make sure you do is, since we're going to be getting honestly, we're going to be chopping up this hanger a lot. The only thing we're really going to be keeping is the level sensor and this return hose, and that's about it. Oh, and the venturi valve. Aside from that, we're getting rid of basically all the lower portion of this hanger. We're not going to be having this as a placeholder anymore. This is going to get cut away. So what you need to do though is, in order to make sure you're maximizing the amount of fuel you're actually able to get out of the tank, you need to make sure you measure from the top of the hanger down to where roughly around where the bottom of the fuel pump is now. And I already measured that. It's roughly about 7 inches or so from the top of the hanger down to where the kind of filter in the bottom of the fuel pump is at. So you have to keep that in mind before you get started. Aside from that, if you followed along my video and you already have this modified hanger in there, pretty much we're just going to disassemble it now. Pull the pump out, pull all the stuff apart, take everything off as much as you can, and then I'll show you what you need to do in order to get the new fuel pump in, because obviously the new fuel pump is shaped a little differently than this one. So all right, I've done some grinding and some cutting. So as I mentioned earlier, you'll want to drill out a hole in the middle of the hanger. That I got that drilled. That's this thing right here. You can see there's a barb fitting right here now. This is just a, I don't know what size it is. It's a barb to a 6AN fitting, maybe 5/16 or 3/8 or something like that. But that is going to enable us to connect that fitting straight to the top of our pump. So in this part, which is the bottom portion, the only thing I've done to this, you remember I told you need to have that 7 inches. So I snipped off this wiring connector because I'm not going to use it. And then I stuck this straight up in here, right into the normal discharge hole, which is this guy right here. I drilled that out. I drilled it out with a drill bit big enough to, for me to get a hose in there. But anyway, I trimmed down part of this right here. I don't know, I might have taken off maybe a 1/4 inch off of the whole bottom of the hanger so that this can slide up in here and sit in the correct position. And then once you snap this on together, all you're going to do is cut yourself a little piece of hose, tiny little piece of hose. It needs to be fuel rated hose like I have in here now. Gates makes this stuff called Barricade fuel injection hose. This part number is 4219BF. I don't know if that'll be the right size. It just depends on what kind of size fittings you're going to use. This is a 5/16 hose, but you need to use some E85 rated hose, or if you're not using E85, just regular fuel hose will be fine. But you'll need to cut a small portion so that you can attach it to the top of this, just slide the hose on, put a little screw clamp, and then when you slide it up into this hanger, it'll connect to this fitting that you have right here. Onto the wiring side. Again, I'm going to be drilling another hole. Now, you can go about this however you want. You can attempt to use the stock wiring if you want. I highly suggest you do not do that, because the stock wiring is too thin. You're definitely going to catch yourself on fire or melt the wires or melt the connector because it's just too much amperage. So I suggest running your own wires, which is why that's why I cut off the connector off of this thing. Now, in order for me to get this wiring out of this hanger, since I'm not going to be using this connector anymore, I'm going to be using a silicone connector, which is this thing. It's a cable gland. You see it has 2 holes in it, and it's kind of rubberized. And basically, I'm going to drill another hole on the other side over here, on the other side that's open over here. I'm going to drill another hole, stick this in there, run my cables up out of it, and voila, I'll have cables outside of the hanger. Here it is, all done. I went on ahead and added a clamp down here. You probably don't need this because the hose up there is holding the pump in place, but I put a clamp down here just to kind of hold that pump steady down there. But all I have to do is to put the, sorry, the camera's not focusing. All I need to do now is to put the little filter sock on the bottom of this thing, which is pretty easy to do. But it was kind of a challenge to get this all together, but it is together. Got my wiring coming out, got my new feed line right there in the middle, the return lines on the right side, and then the only thing we'll be using the factory connector for here is for the fuel level sender, and there is like those factory ground points that are in there. I'm gonna go ahead and probably tie those ground points into the relay that I'm gonna run, but I'll show you guys that wiring when I get done. But as of now, this thing is ready to go back into the car, so I'm gonna slap it back in the tank and get that all together. I apologize, my neighbor's cutting something, so if it's kind of loud, my bad. I got the pump in here, so now all that's left really to do is to, I'll reattach my return line, which went right here. Then you have a new feed line. Now here comes a decision you'll have to make. If your car has an aftermarket fuel rail, by all means, it's probably easiest to just make yourself a new fuel line that's 6AN that runs from here all the way to your fuel rail up front. My car doesn't have a aftermarket fuel rail. I just have the stock fuel rail and the stock fuel system, and usually there's a little connector right here that attaches right here to the factory hat right here. What I'm gonna do is, I found out that the factory fuel line is a 5/16 quick disconnect, and there's many companies who make adapters that goes from a 5/16 quick disconnect to a 6AN line. So I'm gonna buy that little fitting, snap it onto my factory fuel line, and then I'll make a small little portion of hose that goes from here right down here to where the feed line's at, and that should be all I need to get to the fuel rail. All right, just wanted to show you guys real quick before I put this in here. This is my new feed line that I made. Just has a tight 6AN 90 on it. It's gonna go to this port right here, and it's gonna go down to that quick disconnect I showed you guys a minute ago, and this will be connected to the quick disconnect, and this will be attached up here. So we'll feed it down there, kind of show you guys where it looks like real quick. Here's where it came down, this line right here. You can see I have a quick disconnect on the factory, sorry it's sunny, I have a quick disconnect right there on the factory fuel line that's going up to the fuel rail. So this is the way I'm going to go about doing it. Again, if you have an aftermarket fuel rail, it makes sense to just run a 6AN line all the way straight up to your rail. So this should work for me. Well, here it is, mostly done. All the wiring is done. You see I got my power and my ground running off into my relay here. This red wire goes off to the battery, which goes to the front of my car. Obviously, if your battery's in the trunk, you can just run into the trunk, which would probably be a lot easier. But I do have some epoxy drying on here because my OG fitting right here kind of was getting loose. So all I have to do is connect this return line back. Feed line's already connected, wiring's already connected here, put the cover back on it, and this will be good to go. I am testing out a solid state relay to try and slow this pump down at idle. That way I don't have to heat up the fuel, or pretty much I don't have to have the pump running at full blast all the time. So I'm just experimenting with that and see if it'll work well or not. I did put the relay in the trunk, but yeah, all of this is good to go. Like I said, return line, cover, seat, and we'll leave it there. In the engine bay, in the last regards to the fuel pump, I know I try not to make this video so long, but all this stuff is important, guys. So if you have a boosted IS300 and you just installed the bigger fuel pump like we just did, I highly recommend that you bypass the factory fuel pump resistor, which is this thing right here. It usually sits right here. All this does is 12 volts comes in, goes into the resistor. The resistor obviously does what it says it does, and it outputs 8 volts. This is controlled by the factory computer to slow down the factory pump when you're at light throttle and idling. So the problem with this is this now 12 volts is triggering our heavy duty relay. If say the power gets dropped down to 8 volts, there's a chance that relay might open back up and then your fuel pump will stop working. So essentially we don't want that to happen. We just want to have 12 volts all the time. So all I did was cut off the 2 wires that were right here, and all I did was crimp them together. So now that 12 volts comes in, it's already crimped to the other wire, so 12 volts will go straight back out. That's all you have to do. And you can just throw this thing in the trash. Moving on to the injectors, as you can see, I have brand new DeWorks 1200cc injectors here. They're nice pieces. However, they're very small in diameter down here at the bottom, and I was hoping they would fit down there in the bosses, but they don't. I did install them I suppose if you went with the thicker O-ring down here in the bottom like some guys do, it would fit. However, I didn't want to take that risk and run into misfires and all that stuff. So what I did was get a hold of radium, and I put in their injector seats. You can see I have one just down in there. It says radium.com on it. Let me show you what those look like. This is their air assist lower seats. They're adapters. So basically this just pops down into the intake like you see there, and then your injector can slide into this portion here easily. These are really nice pieces. They're about $15 a piece. I highly suggest you guys get them. I was hoping I didn't need them, but I just want to try and do this as correctly as I can, and I don't want to pull this apart again. So yeah, definitely recommend getting these. The part number to that is, grab yourself some of these if you're running these injectors. I have installed the injectors. It says on their website that they're direct fit, but they definitely were not. Especially combined with those radium like lower seats, the overall height of the injector was just too high. So I had to pretty much add some washers underneath the rail to kind of space the rail up some so that I can, I don't know, kind of get it right. It's not exactly where I like it to be or perfect, but I think it'll be okay for now. Hopefully there's not any misfires from air getting into the intake manifold just where the injectors are seated into the manifold, I hope. They seem tight enough, but I don't know, we'll see. But I already loaded up a file into the EMU. I had to obviously account for the 1200cc injectors versus the 700cc. I also went on ahead and incorporated my SSR or solid state relay to control the pump. Right now I don't have it slowing down the pump at all. I just have it at 100% duty cycle for the pump. But let me show that to you guys actually so you can kind of see what it looks like, I guess. And then we'll go on ahead and start this thing up. So in here on the side of the trunk, I ran the solid state relay just there. So this is kind of an alternative to a pump controller, and I'm hoping it works right. It runs. I'm glad. I didn't see anything leaking at all. I let it warm up completely, at least until I heard the fan come on, and I don't know, it was about 190, 195 degrees, and everything so far seems okay. The solid state relay situation seems to be working. I was able to slow the pump down to about 80% during idle. I'll probably play with that more as I drive it along. I do have to mess with some other like throttle enrichment stuff, because with the pump being slowed down when I give it throttle, I don't know, I might map it to my TPS. Right now it's mapped to the map sensor, so that's where it's getting its information from. I might do it TPS based, that way when I do give it throttle it'll kind of ramp up the speed of the pump. But yeah, so far it seems good. I'm actually surprised. The pump is a lot quieter than I thought it would be. I don't even have the seats in there or anything, and it's still pretty quiet, so I'd imagine when I put the seats in there, it should be, I probably wouldn't be able to hear it. But so far everything's doing good though. I'm gonna try, like I said, maybe in the next video or so, I'm gonna try and shoot for 15 pounds of boost on E85. Hopefully this thing stays together. Say a prayer for my bottom end. But I don't know, we'll see. I'm not gonna really push on it too hard right now. I just wanna make sure everything is running good, sort out the solid state relay situation, and kind of just enjoy it, because I haven't driven this car in a long time. I know I haven't made a video in a while, but I hope that this helps you guys out. And as always, if you guys have any questions, if you need any tuning, if you need any of that done, hit me up on Instagram or message me here in the comment section below. I have been getting a lot of support from you guys and people asking me to tune their cars, and overall it's been a good experience for me and for them. And so if you guys need help with any tuning with the EMU Black, or not even that, with Link or whatever you're working on, Holly, what's the other, HELLCAT, just let me know and I'll definitely try and help you guys out. Until then, I'll see you guys on the next video. Peace.